Bonsoir les amis, this is Llyane, and today is a webinar, and it is here because I had problems. I had technical difficulties, and I hope that there is sound. Please let me know if you can't hear me. Do let me know. Can you make conversation confidently in French? Probably not. If you're here and if you're watching this video, probably not. So what is it? What is the actual cause? What is the problem? What is the cause? And what is the solution for it? So I'm going to give you the cause of that, and you will be in, you may be, of course you are, because there's so many. I'm just looking to see if anybody tells me if there's no sound on this, but it should be. I tested it like 10 times. So you may be in different situations. Just give you what just because it's important for you to identify yourself. So either you're here to watch this webinar because you translate in English from French. Hello, hello, hi. Okay. Okay. So anyway, apparently I can be heard, so that's good. So you are one of these 4 situations, and please let me know in the comments if you are. Now, you probably noticed that I'm quite far away from the screen and the camera is my phone, and so it's very hard for me to see that writing, okay? So I'm going to assume a lot. Yeah, everything's working. I'm going to assume a lot, and I'm not going to stop for questions during the webinar. I'm going to make it super short because I don't want my phone to crash. So, but I'm going to answer every single one of your questions. So please do write the questions under this video, because I'm coming back and I will answer your questions. Also, go to this link to get the solution to this problems, but I'm going to talk a little bit before you probably were curious to go there. So either you translate from English, to French, and so if you do that, of course, you're going to sound more English with French words. Or, so what I'm saying here is that why you're here, why are you watching this video? And you probably have a little challenge in French conversation, and so these may be one of these 4 categories. You may fall into one of those, and please let me know into the comments. I'm really curious to see. The second one would be that you not comfortable with the verbs, and so you are using verbs, but maybe you are using an infinitive. You don't quite even know what that infinitive word means. So that could be you. Or you pronounce French words like English words, and they don't sound well to you and to others, and they may not understand you. Or you know some words, you know some verbs, some grammar, you kind of know but you don't know how to put the sentence together. You don't know how to use the little words. And so if you are one of these people, if you recognize yourself from these categories, please let me know. I'm very curious to know you and to see who's watching these videos. So if you don't know me, my name is Llyane Stanfield, and you can find me at ParisianFrench.com. That link too is really good to come to see on my website. And I'm a Parisian French, online Parisian French coach, and I also write for New York in French as well as the Huffington Post. You can find my website through Learn Parisian French on Skype.com, where you have a crash course that helps you become immersion ready. You can also find me on FrenchImmersionParis.com. That's the link directly to the French immersion page, or ParisianFrenchIntensiveCourse.com. Guess what you're gonna get there? ParisianFrenchAdvancedCourse.com. So those are the places that you can find me. So what you're going to learn in this webinar, and I'm trying to make it really, really short and speaking really, really fast because Facebook doesn't like long Facebook Live. So what is the one mistake, the most common mistake actually, that keeps you outside of conversation, you don't become immersion ready. You don't feel that you can speak. So And you also are going to learn what are the actions to take in order to become immersion ready. So in order to use the situation that you're in right now and actually get to the next step so that you can make a conversation and go to Paris, order that pizza. No, God, that's in Italy, right? So order that, I don't know, croissant, talk to the natives and have them speak back to you in French and not switch to English, right? Because they do that for you. So I'm not going to talk to you about me. You can find me if you just came across this video right now. Know that this is a very rare occurrence when I'm doing a whole webinar on Facebook Live. But if you want to see more of these and small videos that I'm doing every day during the week, as well as announcements about these webinars that don't normally take place on Facebook, please go to facebook.com/French on Skype. That's my Facebook page. So I just said that the 4 categories, so go to in the replay, which is going to be up here at this link. You will see at the beginning of the video when I listed the 4 situations that typically you could be in. And so either you translate from English to French, and so you sound like an English person that speaks with French words, or you're using verbs typically in the infinitive. I don't know if you know what infinitive is, but you're not quite comfortable with conjugation. I don't know if you know what conjugation is. Then the third situation would be that you pronounce French like English, and then the pronunciation makes you sound English even if you speak French. And the fourth situation would be that even if you know some words, you know some grammar, you don't know how to link them together with the small words, with the little linking words. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you in each situation what would be the cause for each of them, and then the solution. So the reason that you are translating word for word from English to French is because you believe that French vocabulary should be English vocabulary should be reflected in the French vocabulary. So every single word in English should actually have its correspondent in French, but that's not the case. English comes with a larger vocabulary. We have words are specialized, and so each context would need a different word, whereas in French you use a word in different contexts, and that is what do I want to say? You use a word, and based on the context, it's going to have a different connotation, and so that is what you want to avoid. So it doesn't exist, right? So you don't actually have an exact correspondent from each English word to a French word. So you need to get the difference between these 2 languages. Second situation, the verbs. So you're using infinitive because conjugation of the French verb is much more complex than conjugation of the English verbs. So we have different endings, and so you know, it's hard, and also it's hard to transfer from the very simple conjugation, well, simpler conjugation that is in English to a more complex conjugation that is in French. So that would be the cause. The third situation, when you speak English words like the French words like the English words, pronunciation. So first cause for this, or it could be twofold. So you don't know to put the stress on the French word. So the stress on the English word is at the beginning of the word. The stress of the French word is at the end of the word, or the second part of the word. And so just this shift, just doing this shift, becoming aware of it and doing this shift alone is going to make you much more, I mean, people are going to understand you much better. I remember when I was on the other, completely different direction, 180 degrees, right? So I was doing or challenged by this problem with English. And so the moment I discovered the stress and how it falls in English compared to French, I changed that, and so people could understand me much better. And the second cause for this problem would be that you don't know the pronunciation rules. And in English, we learn one word at a time. Each word has a pronunciation. There are rules of pronunciation in English. I know not many people know about that. Most people learn, and of course, as a mother tongue, we learn it as the way we hear. We don't really think about rules of pronunciation. But in French, there are. And so once you know those rules of pronunciation, there you go. It's not going to sound English anymore. And the fourth situation, the small words are challenging. The small words are challenging even for the high, intermediate to advanced speakers. And so this is the last thing that lingers as I have my clients, as you know, they learn language and they get practice and whatnot, but you really have to speak for that to get used to that and to really learn that. And so this is something that is a little harder, that takes longer to actually be masterful at. And now, what is the most common mistake that makes you, it keeps you stuck at this level in conversation? So it's learning words. It's the belief, the biggest mistake, the number one mistake that people make is believing that learning words will help them make conversation. So I have a lot of people coming to me learning 100 words a day, even that much. And then I ask, okay, so what are you doing with them, right? So it's not the words, it is what we do with them. And so please go and check out a poet, French poet, Jacques Prévert. If you don't know how to write it, please ask me in the comments and I'm going to write the answer to you. And so go and read his poems and you'll see what a simple language he uses. You'll understand it for sure. And what a deep meaning and layers and context, subtext and whatnot he creates. So we don't need words. Learning words and learning verbs is a prerequisite. That's what Duolingo is for, Rosetta Stones, and the other Rocket Language or something. So any kind of software, CDs, whatever, it is for us to learn words. I'm using Duolingo and I'm learning Italian, Spanish, and German. So yeah, I use them, but that's just to build some vocabulary. But meanwhile, I have a friend who speaks Italian, my boyfriend speaks Spanish, I have nobody. Oh yeah, my dad speaks a little bit of German and he helps me with that, but I haven't done that in a while. So, but anyway, you need to speak as soon as you have just a very few, but I'm gonna get to the solution in a minute. And please, for the love of all things holy, do not hire a tutor, teacher, or coach to help you enrich your vocabulary or grammar. That's not what a teacher should do for you, okay? You can do that with 2 books. $50, you're all set, okay? So you really, really, really don't need anybody to help you enrich your vocabulary. And I have a lot of people coming to you with that. So please don't waste your money on that. So what is the action plan that I propose for you for this? So I'm going to go again in the four categories. So the first category was translating English directly into French words, and so making sentences that sound English. So for this, if that is you, please start with a very small vocabulary. Just, I don't know, I mean, in my intensive program, I have people coming from like zero. They have no idea, no experience in French. I'm sorry that I really realize that I speak really fast, but I don't know how long this phone is going to hold this. It's really long. So please start with a very small vocabulary and hold on to it. Resist the temptation to learn more words. And what does that mean? You shouldn't actually get too much into new vocabulary and new words. Of course, if there's if it's a keyword and without it, it's like the meaning of your sentence doesn't mean any sense, doesn't have any sense. Yes, of course, get that new word, but don't focus on that. I mean, focus on phrase construction. Do not focus on your vocabulary. Again, go to Jacques Prévert and you'll see what I mean by that. The second category of people, if that is you, that you have really problems with verbs and you don't know how to conjugate. What is conjugation? You kind of use it in the infinitive. Oh my God, what's that infinitive? So in order for you to improve this area, use Becherel. Ask me if you don't know what that is, and I'll type it into the comments. I'll answer in the comments. So Becherel is a book, is a verb conjugation book. Probably a lot of you know about it. But what's the difference between this and all the others? I believe, because I don't think any others make this categorization. They make a categorization. They created 96 or 97 categories of verb, and so instead of actually giving 3,000 verbs to conjugate and to learn the conjugation, you have 96. And so if you want a certain verb that's a certain type, they refer you to that particular representative verb. So for the three main groups of regular verbs, I'm going to give you the representatives of the verbs. So for first group, regular verbs ending in R and in ER, the representative is aimer. For second group of regular verbs ending in IR, representative is finir. And for the third group, regular verbs ending in RE, the representative is rendre. Know these three verbs, and you know most well, yeah, not the irregular verbs, but you do know all the regular verbs, you know, if you know these three verbs. That's a big deal, right? So you really, and also have to look at, you know, persons, endings. There are a lot of techniques that I can share with you, just you know, how to get those done, but start first with Becherel. In the third situation where you are speaking good French, but with French, but with an English accent, then I'm going to tell you exactly what to do with the stress. So what do I mean by stress? I'm going to give you two words in English that mean different things depending on where you put the stress. So it's address and address. Address has the accent in the beginning, address, and it means the place, the house, it's a noun. Address is stressed at the end, address, and it's a verb, is an action to address a request, right? And so this is what the stress is. Now in French compared to English, I'm going to give you a few examples. So for instance, curious in English, a stress at the beginning of the word. Curieux in French, stressed at the end of the word. Elegant in English, stressed at the beginning of the word. Élégant in French, stressed at the end of the word. Cumulative in English, stressed at the beginning of the word. Cumulative in French, stressed at the end of the word. Just this alone increased 50% of being understood in North America in English. So it's a big deal. And pronunciation, there is a pronunciation, there is a set of pronunciation rules, about 70. I have a pronunciation course that I put together because there's nowhere out there that you can find all the pronunciation rules with enough examples. I'm exemplifying with over 200. Low battery. Okay, I'm gonna rush. Actually, almost done. Yes, I have a pronunciation program that I created because I couldn't find something to refer my clients to, my students to. And so there are some 70 rules of pronunciation. All that includes the alphabet, all the letters of the alphabet and everything else. And oh yeah, and I exemplify with over 200 words, and so that's something that, you know, your brain can wrap its head around the patterns in the pronunciation rules. That's a big deal. Important, right? So if you don't know the pronunciation rules, then you don't know. And there are exceptions, but the exceptions are the most commonly used words, which you will learn with any program anyway. So, but the new words, you'll always know, and you'll never make a spelling or pronunciation error ever again. And the fourth category of people that have problem with the linkings in small words, and that's probably most of you, the focus should be on them. So the focus shouldn't be on the words, on grammar. Of course, we get that, we include that, we implement that as we become aware of these, you know, vocabulary and grammar. But the focus should be on the phrase construction and not on increasing number of words in any area, either nouns or verbs. Okay, so be really careful about that. Don't focus on fluff. Focus on reduce the fluff as much as you can. Speak with as simple words as you can possibly speak, and have that focus on the linking words, the small words, and phrase construction, right? Phrase construction, not intonation. Don't worry about that. That just completely takes your focus off of what you should. Just stay on the phrase construction, and that's going to get you a lot of exposure and experience and practice with it. So what is the solution? My solution is an intensive immersion program that I have, and it's 60% off. It's at the link above, 60% off. And what is it entails 2 days immersion intensive with me, where I'm going, depending on what category of people you are, either of these 4 or 2 or 3 of them, I don't know, because everybody's different. Then we address and we find all the techniques that will help you make conversations so that you are immersion ready and you have no conversation anxiety, no matter how small your vocabulary is or grammar is. And that's a big deal, because then you can start practicing conversation, and as you practice conversation, you'll enrich your vocabulary and grammar so that you can communicate with the natives and be taken for a native, or at least have them answer you back in French rather than switching to English just because, oh, poor little American or poor little English, they don't know French enough to sustain a conversation. I'm just joking. So this is what I have for you for tonight, and I hope that this one was with audio and not frustrate you any more. So I'm looking forward to having you in the intensive immersion. Ask me question if you have any questions. I know that most people are asking how are these 2 days going to be put together, or when are they. So they can be 2 days one after the other. They involve 4 hours with me on Skype and 4 hours homework in both days. They can be either 2 days one after the other, either 2 separate days whenever you're available, or we can split and we can have 4 half days whenever you can. Of course, your availability. We're busy people. So thank you so much for watching this and bearing with me. I'm going to have the replay at that link, and you're going to be able to watch it again to get the techniques that you need in order to be immersion ready. And don't ever give up on your dream to become bilingual. Learn to speak Parisian French on Skype and travel the world. Merci beaucoup et à la prochaine. Au revoir.